Hey everybody, Facebook Live. We're going to be talking about Cameron's question today about how to get travel write-offs and medical missions, some other ways that you can kind of incentivize your travel. We're just going to give it a couple of seconds here to let people pop on. And at the end of the segment today, I'm going to be talking about a free giveaway on a cruise. So we're just going to give it a second here. Hey Sheila, how are you? All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hey Nick, what's up, buddy? So, the question was brought up yesterday during my live, and I decided to kind of change up my schedule. There was tons of great questions asked, and this one was so good that people don't really understand what all they can do with tax write-offs and all those kind of things. Hey Jonathan, Sheila, I'm doing great, thanks. And so I decided, since I answered his question yesterday, just to answer his other question today. So if you guys don't know, there are ways that you can make your travel tax deductible or tax write-offs. One of those ways is something like a medical mission. Cameron gave me the information for a couple of the organizations that he's a part of and how he goes and he helps people in need through the medical process. I have some other friends who do this as well. And you don't have to necessarily have a medical background to do this, because there's all kinds of heavy labor that needs to be done. So maybe you can help clean up, maybe you can help people, bring people in, and they'll help you with all that kind of stuff, right? But here's what's really great about it. So number one, probably the most important thing to me personally, is that you can actually travel to help people, to legitimately meet the needs of others. And I've said this quote before, I'm just going to say it again today. St. Augustine says that the world is like a book, and those who don't travel only read a page of it. Well, there's kind of an additional thing here. The part of travel that teaches us and grows us is the interaction with other people, and I can't think of a better way to interact with people than to help them. That you're going into some of these countries where they don't even have necessarily good potable water. Cameron just hopped on, so you guys can friend Cameron. He can help you learn more about the medical mission stuff. Hey Amber, how are you? I'm just here to tell you that you can have all the wealth in the world, and if you're not helping other people, there's probably something wrong there, right? I'm not going to necessarily say something wrong with you, but the whole point of travel and wealth and all these kind of benefits is that we get to interact with other people, help other people. And I really can't but just give Cameron a bunch of accolades, because to be able to go to another country, to number one, get to travel, but number two, that you're actually getting to help people is super awesome. Now listen, as I've told you guys, I'm a Christian, I believe in Christ. There's another way that you can do this, which is missions work, right? So when you pay to go on missions work, and Cameron and I were talking about this, number one, don't refuse aid if they don't go to your church service or don't go to your whatever. You're there to represent and to help people, just help people. It's kind of like I've been talking with a couple of people about the way they're doing their Facebook. You shouldn't be selling, right? It's about offering people value and content, making relationships with people, and it's the same when we travel. So whether you're there as a medical missionary, or you're there as maybe a Christian missionary, or whatever the story is for you, there are tons of great causes out there that travel the world to help people who aren't as fortunate as we are in America. That's really important. That's an important part of what I believe we should be doing. So whether you hook up with Cameron or you hook up with your local church and you begin to travel and you help people that are in need, that's a great way to travel. And let me tell you, hey Cameron, just real quick, name 2 or 3 of the countries you've been to. Then I'm going to talk about just 2 or 3 of the countries I've been to, just to kind of give people a grasp of where they can go and what kind of things they can expect. Can you do that for me real quick? While I'm waiting on him, I've been to Guatemala, I've been to Mexico, I've been to Thailand. I've been to some countries that are really impoverished, right? They don't have good medical aid. They don't have a good healthcare system. They don't even make a lot of money. Hey, Ashley, how are you? Hey, Jason. And so I actually went to a village in Guatemala back in the 90s during the middle of their revolution and helped a village build a radio tower so they could have outside communication. It was a great experience for me. And I had no clue that there were places still in the world that did human sacrifices and didn't know when you were a baby not to push on the top of your jaw to push that divot back up, right? I just thought that was known by everybody, and it wasn't. Hey, Cameron, while you're kind of checking back in, I asked for just a couple of the countries you've been to. I am going to Ireland, buddy, and it's next month, and you're not going with me. So just real quick while we're waiting on Cameron to answer, 2 ways that you could travel and you could actually use it as a tax write-off. Hey, Doug, is that you could do it as a medical missionary, or you could work with in conjunction to a church and go somewhere like Haiti, Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador. I know there's quite a few of them. Thailand. I've got some friends in Thailand that are missionaries. That's a great way to get your feet out into the world of travel. Wants to be in your video. Why not? Let's do this real quick. Still need. I am going to answer your question, Kelly. I'm waiting to add in Eric here. Eric, what did you want to be added in for? You're live with everybody else. I don't think he thought I was going to bring him. I thought, well, what the heck? Let's do it. So you went to Mexico. Okay, great. Philippines, Ecuador, Guatemala. I loved Guatemala. And I was up in the mountains. St. Vincent and the Grenada. So tell us just real quick. You can put it in the feed. I'm not going to wait for it. What I want you to do is just tell people about, sorry, you were pressing buttons. I thought you really wanted to come on, so I put you on. So just put in the box some of the stuff you've done and some of the stuff you've seen. Now, there's a third way that you guys can travel and use it as a write-off, that you can get some stuff done on your list and really kind of, you could join the military like Roland did and travel with the military. That's how I made it to Afghanistan. I'm not sure if that qualifies. So you could also become a travel agent. Now, I've talked about this before. I have friends that are travel agents. I don't recommend necessarily using a travel agent because it kind of takes away some of the excitement and the planning and the learning. And, then you go where they tell you to go. It takes away some of the freedom. And when I land, I just want to go do what I want to do, and I don't want to have to worry about nothing else. But I've used them before I learned how to travel on my own. So again, I have friends, and I'll be more than happy to connect you. But if you're in the travel industry, you can actually travel and use it as a tax write-off, or the other had a brain space there. You can use it as a write-off or a tax exemption, right? Something that you can use to just not pay taxes on. Any of those travel agencies would work for you. Anything that requires that you travel for a living, anything that requires, like I write off all my stuff. Every single trip I take is a write-off because you're doing market testing, product testing. Maybe you're actually traveling for work like I do. And that's what started me on this journey, was traveling for work and learning how to do it more effectively so that I can increase my profit while decreasing my expenses, right? There's MLMs out there that are travel clubs that once you sign up as a business under that, then you can take that entire thing and write it off. I'll use this as an example because I know these people personally. They have a leadership retreat every year. They pick a location. They take all of their sales reps. They're not in the travel industry. They take all their sales reps and they go down and they write the entire... Yeah, beer is never a write-off, guys. Just so you know that. Alcohol is not a write-off. That's pleasure. Okay? So don't write off alcohol because you'll get in trouble if they ever audit you. And they book an entire trip, a cruise, they do all kinds of stuff. That becomes a write-off. So listen, if you're a 1099, okay, if you don't know the difference between a 1099 and an employee, you just have to ask yourself, do you get taxed now or do you get taxed at the end of the year or quarterly, right? If you get taxed now, you're probably not a 1099, right? If you're a 1099, you can take trips do business and write them off. You can travel and it's a tax exemption. That was the word I couldn't remember, tax exemption. You can use it as a write-off. Now, you have to legitimately conduct business. If you have children, you cannot write off that portion of the travel. So family vacation doesn't count. But if you're traveling by yourself, or if you travel and you just don't deduct the expense of your children, you can do that, right? So here's what I'm going to do today. Again, I'm going to give away today a cruise to the Bahamas. It'll be a 3 or a 4 night, whichever one you want. And here's the call to action for you guys, all right? Number 1, if you want to win a cruise, you've got to post in this your question. The question is going to be then addressed either tomorrow or next week or whatever it ends up being, because I had quite a few questions yesterday. So Kelly, I will get to your question. And then the second thing I want you guys to do is that if you have a question about how to use travel as a tax exemption, tax write-off, also we can always use construction people. Hey, so read this. Cameron's really doing a good plug, and he and I have been talking offline. I would highly recommend that you guys hook up with Cameron if you want to do some of that medical missionary stuff. Okay? Do I have to have a question? That's my question. Yes, it's got to be travel related. To all of you who don't know, my smart aleck friend Corey Lockett, he's a great friend of mine. I know you were just picking at me. All right, so here's the 2 things. You got to post your question in order to be entered in for tomorrow. And then here's what I want you to do. If you have questions about how to use travel as a tax exemption or a tax write-off, message me privately. I'll help you shift through it. I'm not a tax attorney, but I can guide you in the right direction. I actually know some great tax people that can help you. Okay? So the last part of today, the winner from yesterday, and I'm going to give her the choice, is Ashley. She can choose to either go to a resort or go on a cruise. That cruise is a 3 or 4 day cruise to the Bahamas. Remember that it doesn't include airfare getting there, and you still have to pay the taxes. Good old government is going to get theirs. So Ashley, you're the winner, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. It will be a little bit later because I'm on the road tomorrow, but I'll post the time and what we're going to talk about. We'll see you guys tomorrow, and hook up with Cameron because he's got some great stuff for you guys.